So, the Trump administration's pick to lead a brand new Department of Justice division dedicated to fighting fraud just sat before the Senate's powerful Law and Justice Oversight Committee and refused repeatedly to answer whether a DOJ task force even has to follow the DOJ's own rules, which is a little like interviewing to be a lifeguard and declining to confirm that swimming exists. They call it a group to stop the government from being used as a political weapon, but the weapon in question was apparently pointed directly at the person doing the questioning, which makes the refusal to answer feel less like a legal strategy and a whole lot more like a confession. Senator Adam Schiff had a very simple question for Colin McDonald during his confirmation hearing on February 25th, 2026, before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Were you part of the DOJ Weaponization Working Group, and does that group have to follow the DOJ's official rulebook? What followed was a textbook example of dodging questions so completely that by the end, Senator Schiff stopped trying to get a real answer and started doing something infinitely more valuable. He started explaining what the refusal itself actually means. Let's watch the video, and then I will give you my take on the other side.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. McDonald, were you part of the DOJ's Weaponization Working Group?
Senator, as referenced earlier in some questioning during the hearing today, the Weaponization Working Group, as commissioned by the President.
A simple yes or no would do. Were you part of the Weaponization Working Group?
Senator, as I referenced earlier in questions before the panel, the Weaponization Working Group, as commissioned by the President and then the Attorney General,
I still haven't gotten an answer. Were you involved with the Weaponization Working Group, yes or no? It's a simple question. You were either involved with it or you weren't.
Senator, as referenced earlier.
Yes or no, Mr. McDonald?
Senator, as I referenced earlier.
I'm not interested in what you referenced earlier. I'm asking you a simple question right now, not earlier, but right now. Were you part of the Weaponization Working Group at Justice, yes or no?
Senator, as I referenced earlier,
okay, you're not going to answer the question. You're not going to answer the question.
Was rightly identified.
I don't know why you won't answer a simple question, but let me ask you a different question. Do you believe that members of the Weaponization Working Group need to abide by the Justice Department manual? Yes or no?
Senator, as a career federal prosecutor,
asking you a simple question,
I am
yes
very
or no.
well familiar with the U.S. Department of Justice manual.
I'm glad you are. Do you feel the manual applies to people in the Weaponization Working Group? Do they have to abide by it? Yes or no?
Senator, as you know,
why is that a difficult question for you to answer? Do you believe that members of the Weaponization Work Group have to abide by ethical practices?
Senator, all Department of Justice employees, every day.
Is that a yes?
Every day.
I'm asking a very specific question, not about all department employees, but about employees in the Weaponization Working Group. Do they have to abide by the Justice Department manual, yes or no?
Senator, all Department of Justice employees.
So that's a yes?
Operate within the provisions of the Justice Manual.
Mr. McDonald, is that a yes?
Senator, I would refer you to the answer that I just gave.
Or is the Weaponization Working Group something different? Are you suggesting that it's different, that it doesn't have to abide by the ethics manual, that it doesn't have to abide by ethics at all? Why are you refusing to answer a simple question?
Senator, I'm not refusing to answer your question.
Well, do the members of the working group have to abide by the Justice Department manual?
Senator, as I referenced in my previous answer, all Department of Justice employees.
I'm not interested in your previous answers. You can't answer a simple question, or you won't, which leads me to suspect you believe they don't have to apply, they don't have to live up to the standards of the Justice Manual. So let me ask you a different question. In your time working with this group, did you ever observe any of the other members of the Weaponization Working Group violate the Justice Department manual, yes or no?
Senator, the Weaponization Working Group has been working to illuminate the facts.
I'm not interested in a filibuster of an answer. Did you observe members of the working group, or did you yourself violate the Justice Department manual?
Senator, as referenced in prior answers,
so let me ask you another question.
The Weaponization Working Group has been working.
Did you witness members of the Weaponization Working Group mishandle grand jury material?
Senator,
Did that
as
come to
I
your
referenced
attention?
earlier,
I'm not interested
the
in what you referenced
Weaponization
earlier.
Working Group
I'm
has been
interested-
working
I'm
to
interested-
understand
Mr.
the
McDonald?
facts and events
Mr. Mc-
underlying
Mr. Chairman.
significant
Mr. Chairman?
weaponization of
Mr.
the government
Mr. Chairman?
during the Biden administration.
Mr. Chairman, I'm asking for a simple question. I would ask your help in getting a direct answer. I've asked the witness whether he believes members of the Weaponization Working Group at the Justice Department need to abide by the Justice Department's own justice manual. Would you assist me in getting an answer to that question?
No, I will not assist you.
Okay. Well, you have the chairman's support in not answering the question, so let me try another question. Or let me see if I can get clarity again. Did you ever witness any of the members of the working group violate rules regarding grand jury secrecy? Yes or no?
Senator, as I referenced in my prior testimony, the Weaponization Working Group
You won't
is
answer that
working
question.
diligently to
So let me
understand the
ask you- let me
historic
ask you
abuses and
one last question
weaponization
and
of
see
the
if you're
Department
willing
of
to
Justice
answer it.
in the Biden
Mr.
administration.
McDonald, did you ever witness anyone in the Weaponization Working Group violate the law? Yes or no?
Senator, I would refer you to my prior answer.
Your prior answer was to obfuscate, and it's become very clear you're unwilling to answer very simple questions, because it's very clear what that weaponization group is all about, and that is using the awesome powers of the Department of Justice to go after the president's enemies. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Schiff, maybe I gave a short answer to your question, but I've never been asked.
So let me tell you what you don't know yet, because I promise you, it makes what you just watched considerably worse. Colin McDonald currently serves as one of the top officials at the Department of Justice, reporting directly to the number 2 person in charge. And yes, that number 2 person is Todd Blanche, the man who was literally Trump's personal defense attorney in the criminal trial over illegal hush money payments. A trial, by the way, that ended with Trump being found guilty on 34 serious criminal charges. That guy is now the number 2 official at the DOJ. As reported by CBS News, McDonald's primary responsibility in that role has been overseeing issues related to the FBI, the DEA, and the ATF. But here's the kicker, the part of his biography that did not come up enough at the hearing. CNN reports that McDonald wasn't just a participant in the Weaponization Working Group, he was actually one of the people running it. He wasn't some low-level staffer sitting on the sidelines fetching coffee. He was running the thing. And let's talk about what the Weaponization Working Group actually is. As detailed by NBC News, it was established by Attorney General Pam Bondi on her very first day in office, February 5th, 2025, within hours of being sworn in. Its director was Ed Martin, a man who had openly praised the January 6th Capitol attack and repeated Trump's false election fraud claims. Per The Guardian, Martin literally put a former January 6th rioter on as an advisor to a group nominally designed to investigate the January 6th prosecution. You can't make this up, and per NBC News reporting on the stalled Schiff investigation, the group's targets have included former FBI Director James Comey, former CIA Director John Brennan, New York Attorney General Letitia James, and, wait for it, Senator Adam Schiff himself, who was under investigation for allegedly lying to get a home loan while sitting on the very committee that just questioned the group's co-chair. At a Senate hearing last October, Bondi didn't just oversee this investigation, she demanded Schiff apologize to Trump for leading the House team that prosecuted Trump's first impeachment trial. Meaning, the senator asking whether DOJ employees have to follow DOJ rules is himself a target of the DOJ. I want you to really sit with that for a second. Stacey Young, a DOJ veteran who served under both Republican and Democratic presidents and founded the watchdog group Justice Connection, told NBC News that the working group had, quote, basically succeeded in creating the starkest example of this administration's hypocrisy by naming a working group that was created to weaponize the Department of Justice. The Weaponization Working Group. That is not some liberal activist saying that. That is a career prosecutor who served under multiple administrations. Now, McDonald refused to confirm whether any of this violates the Justice Department's official rulebook. Why does that matter? Because that rulebook is not a suggestion box. It is the binding set of rules on how prosecutors are supposed to behave. It mandates keeping secret grand jury investigations confidential and staying completely free from political pressure. Every single career DOJ employee operates under it. Based on the International Bar Association's reporting, Barbara McQuaid, a former U.S. attorney and current law professor at the University of Michigan, said Trump's demands that the DOJ formally charge specific people with crimes represent a blatant in-your-face violation of the long-standing limits on communications between the White House and the Justice Department. And yet, McDonald couldn't even confirm the rulebook applies to his group. Ask yourself, what kind of law enforcement division requires its members to avoid confirming they actually follow the law? Here's the language you can use with your friends and family. The Weaponization Working Group was set up to look like it was fighting political corruption, but it has spent its entire existence investigating Trump's political enemies, including the senator who just asked if it has to follow DOJ rules. McDonald's refusal to answer that question is not modesty, it's a tell. So what does this actually mean for you? Here's why it matters beyond the spectacle of watching a lawyer refuse to answer a question. The division McDonald has been nominated to lead the National Fraud Enforcement Division doesn't just sound like a pointless duplicate. It is one, as stated by Senator Dick Durbin, the Trump administration has already shut down the office responsible for prosecuting cryptocurrency scams. They shut down the office prosecuting scams against everyday consumers. They eliminated the entire tax division. And they hollowed out the office that investigates government corruption down to just a few people. So we got rid of the people who actually fight fraud and replaced them with new people overseen by the White House who will fight fraud, presumably only the fraud the White House doesn't like. And here is the part that should make your jaw hit the floor. Per CNN, Vice President JD Vance told reporters in January that the new division will be, and this is a direct quote, run out of the White House under the supervision of me and the president. That is not a quote from a critic. That is the Vice President of the United States describing a federal law enforcement division as a White House operation, in public, on camera. Legal experts at Just Security wrote that this structure creates serious legal weak spots where a judge could throw out any prosecution the moment a defense lawyer argues correctly that the White House was pulling the strings. And for what? Senator Durbin noted dryly that the worst examples of waste, fraud, and abuse in recent years are coming from inside the Trump administration, and that fraudsters who have made huge contributions to the president have regularly been rewarded with pardons. Richard Painter, the former top ethics lawyer for the White House under President George W. Bush and a law professor at the University of Minnesota, warned that without keeping prosecutors free from political pressure, a representative democracy risks descending into a system where political enemies are punished and allies protected, adding that this is the type of thing that happens in Putin's Russia. The fraud division, sold to the public as protecting taxpayer money, may end up getting cases thrown out of court because when the White House is directing a prosecution, defense lawyers will absolutely use that to get the case dismissed. It's also worth noting, the nonprofit Justice Connection found that more than 100 prosecutors and career lawyers have resigned from the Justice Department, many saying they were pressured politically, pushed to drop cases against Trump's allies, and faced threats of punishment for refusing to follow orders they believed were wrong. 100 prosecutors left a department that just nominated someone who won't even confirm that department employees have to follow the department's rules. The joke writes itself, but it isn't funny. Here's where things stand. As of right now, the Judiciary Committee has not yet scheduled a vote on McDonald's nomination. He is still in the pipeline. He may well be confirmed. But this isn't about whether one nominee performed well or poorly at a hearing. What Schiff actually exposed is how a system is being deliberately built where a task force, co-chaired by the nominee, investigates the president's enemies, then moves its own people into new law enforcement divisions that the White House has said it will directly control. And when asked under oath whether any of this is subject to the law, silence. The question is not whether the Weaponization Working Group violated the Justice Department's rulebook. The question is whether there is anyone left with the authority and the will to enforce it if it did. Remember when Senator Grassley was asked to help get a direct answer, and his response was simply, "No, I will not assist you"? That's the whole story right there. The Republican chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee declined to help a sitting senator get a simple yes or no answer about whether DOJ employees have to follow DOJ rules. At least he was honest about it, which is more than we can say for the nominee. If you think accountability at the Justice Department actually matters, hit like on this video so more people see it. I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments about whether this nomination should move forward. Share this with someone who needs to understand what's happening behind the scenes in Washington. And don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you never miss the next breakdown.